Stephen finished putting the suit in the dimly lit bathroom. He didn't know why, but there was a sickening feeling in his gut that he didn't know why he felt like something big was going to happen. No, not just the wedding, but something else. Honey? He heard a knock from the door. It was Spinel. Are you ready? Stephen glanced downwards. Yeah. He hopped off the stool and left the bathroom, and looked at Spinel, who was wearing a dress. Spinel grinned and grabbed both sides of her pink, pale, ruffled dress, with white stars sprinkled all over it. What do you think? I thought it would make me look positive for the occasion, just to make me more stunning for the day. The boy smiled gleefully at his maternal guardian and nodded. Oh, don't be ridiculous, Spinel, Pearl said in her tuxedo, smirked before she wrapped her arms around her, nuzzling in her hair. You look stunning every day. The pink gem blushed a bit, but giggled in delight, as Pearl pecked a few affectionate kisses on her head. Smiling, Stephen walked to see Ruby passing by him, covering her eyes. Okay, Sapphire, I gotta get dressed for our big day now, so no peeking. So with a future vision either. Sapphire giggled. Okay, nodding in approval as Ruby left. Stephen then headed out for the porch where Bismuth was wearing her armor. Bismuth, is that your armor you're wearing for the wedding? The gray gem grinned and flexed her arm, spikes producing from the shoulder. It's the nicest thing I own. Looking sharp, Stephen said before turning down the steps off the porch towards Amethyst and Jasper, who was setting up flowers for the altar. Hey sis, Amethyst glanced over the orange gem holding it up. Don't you think the roses are a little controversial? Jasper shrugged and straightened the collar of her tux with her free hand. Why do you think Spinel's got red ones? You know what she told you about what they mean? Oh, yeah, you're right. Just then, over Stephen's head, Peridot and Lapis flew over him and landed near Amethyst and Jasper, the duo holding baskets of multiple flowers. Peridot had the two floating in her fingers and read the list. Alright, we got both collected as many flowers as we can. We got purple, violets, amethysts, rose, red tulips, primroses. Lapis sighed. Look at all the we got all the flowers Spinel listed for us. Jasper shot them a thumbs up as Amethyst cheered and pumping fists up. Stephen's heart swelled up with much joy, the old foreboding feeling that they had over into the back of his mind. By the time everyone arrived, with Sapphire wearing her own navy tuxedo, though Stephen kept looking around for Connie, but there was still no sight of her. He tried to shove the feeling aside of his father and the gems walking across the wedding alley. Are you alright? Sapphire whispered to him. Stephen tensed up, clapping his hands together. Yeah, just nervous, but I'm happy for you and Ruby. Thanks, the prophet nodded, kicking a speck of ice from their thought of her foot. Lapis gently tossed the flowers around the aisle to the guests, though Peridot was more tough, knocking down Mr. Fryman. The blue gems purled the bandmaid away from and the other gems and joined them. Standing beside Bismuth, the other gems stood with Pearl, Spinel, and Jasper and Greg at the chair, playing a particular song. From the beach house appeared Ruby in a white gown, wearing white headband covered in blue and white flowers. Her face was melted into pure, loving joy when she caught into Sapphire's great gaze, rushing down the steps and down the aisle to stand with the altar. Spinel kept her laughing. Stephen mentally sighing in defeat to see Connie not arriving, but smiled as he began. Dearly beloved gems, humans, lions, big and small goblins, or living grounds, onion, we are gathered here today to celebrate Ruby and Sapphire, my two favorite people who combined to one of my favorite people. You've probably all known her as Garnet. She's their love, given form, and now it's your turn to talk about that. He stepped into her new lover's speak. Ruby started. I know this is all kind of silly. I mean, we've been together for almost 6,000 years. And 8 months, added Sapphire. I used to feel that it wasn't good of me to be on my own, Ruby continued, her eyes glistening. But we're together. It feels like it's okay to be just me. I want to be me. And even if it were, the diamonds will come between us. If they try to beat me up, she kissed and kicked the air in demonstration. Sapphire laughed slightly before speaking gently. Ruby, my future look used to be single, obvious steam, unbending until the end of the time you existed. And you pulled me out of that destiny and opened my eye to the explosion of infinite possible futures. Seeking across space and me, altered the obliterate and even the smallest force's will. Ruby and Sapphire stared at her, awestruck by her now. What I mean is, you changed my life, and I changed yours. And we changed our lives, Sapphire finished, holding Ruby's hand. The boy looked over at to the right. Bismuth's the reins. Bismuth sniffed from the sheer joy for a very long time, until he was unfazed and Lapis punched her in the shoulder. Snapping back towards the attention, the gray gem landed a couple of their rings, Sapphire setting the copper ring onto Ruby's finger, then Ruby set the silver ring on Sapphire's finger. The lovers held each other as Stephen proudly pronounced, Ruby, do you take this gem to have your hold on this until every planet and every in the universe? I do, replied Ruby. And Sapphire, do you? Yes. Stephen frowned a bit. You didn't let me finish. I'm just very excited, said Sapphire. Nodding, Stephen stepped back. Then by power invested in me to estate the Dervana, I pronounce you Garnet. Ruby and Sapphire finally kissed, and the red gem twirling her lover into the air, and they fused back to Garnet. The fusion of visors appeared as the crowd of people, and the gems clapped for them. That night after the party for the wedding began, the guests all chatted and danced to the sour cream playing. Garnet was now held through a bouquet of flowers behind her hands of the group of Jenny, Kiki, and the Sadie, but it had flown too high and disappeared, confusing them. Peridot was performing tricks, while using her mental powers on the soda cans to perform the rings, Lapis forming into water rings to make it look like the cans in the water in the chain. The few people were watching and clapped and cheered. Greg was talking to the other people as Jamie and Bill danced together sorrowfully. Amethyst and Bismuth and Jasper were simply at the back, taking until the bouquet landed in Jasper's hair, puzzling her as Amethyst and Bismuth guffawed. Garnet had finished the dancing, walked over to Stephen and thanked them for the party. With Spinel and Pearl, they slowed dance, and Pearl lifted her up by the lips, twirling Spinel into the air. When they stopped, they landed a loving kiss, parted after for a moment. Oh, Pearl, Spinel murmured, I'm so happy that we've came together for this special occasion. I couldn't be more proud of Stephen than to think of this for Garnet. Maybe we'll have a moment like this in the future. I couldn't agree more, my love, Pearl replied sweetly. But before they could kiss again, the sky began to darken, confusing everyone at the party. From above, two giant hand ships, one yellow, one blue, approached them. The crowd gasped in fear, stepping backwards. Jasper's face dropped. Oh no! It's a diamond! Steve cried. No, 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 no! Spinel felt her panic as she felt the tidal wave. They're after my baby! The crowd of people began running away for their lives, Stephen telling Nefena that they needed to evacuate. The gems read themselves and the ships flew over them, towards the mountains. We're over here, you clods! Peridot shouted. Well, where are they going? Pearl screamed until held into Spinel tightly. Stephen realized something. They're not here for us. They must be here for the cluster. The yellow hands smashed the mountains, causing the whole ground to shake and crack. What's the cluster? Bismuth asked fearfully. The cluster is just a giant geoweapon made with the thousands of gem shards inside the diamonds to use to destroy this planet, Jasper explained frantically as a yellow ship slammed into the terrain again. Stephen tried to think of something. I gotta keep it calm in this bubble. I can use my mind to connect with it, but only if I'm asleep. Spinel continued to panic, internally as Stephen started to communicate with the cluster, but after a few minutes, he woke up screaming, I popped it! In her panic, Stephen, Greg, and the crystal gems ran outside, watching as the cluster formed into a giant crack in the earth. Spinel wrapped her arms around the scared boy. Nephia was alerting the beach city city and evacuate to get everyone to their shelters. However, the cluster rose from the ground and formed a giant skinless arm, wiggling its fingers before it could punch Yellow Diamond's ship and knock it away. The gems, looked up as the cluster hovered over them, giving them the thumbs up. Steven then felt relief. All right, it looks like it can control itself, and it's on our side. He returned the thumbs up. Yellow Diamond's ship had landed a punch, but the cluster grabbed it and pulled it into a rustling match. Above the temple, the Blue Diamond ship flew overhead in front to try to slam it onto the edge of the beach. It rose back up again to reveal Diamond herself, her face hidden underneath the wood. Spinel tensed up, hugging Steven tighter. I won't let them take you away. My sweet baby. None of this. Not this time. Never again. Greg laughed nervously. I guess it's time to work on the old universe charm. No! The gem scolded, promptly Greg to the inside the house. As she lifted her head, Blue Diamond's expression read nothing but fury and sorrow. Pink, why did you leave us again? Spinel, who was in shock, became furious, handing Steven to Pearl as she ran out. Steven protested, but Spinel stopped a good distance from the monarch. You're not taking Steven away from us. Leave! The Blue Diamond wasn't phased, narrowing her eyes. You... She reached out her hand and under her cloak snatched Spinel, causing the pink gem's body to make a loud squeak as the Blue Diamond held her up. Pink, if you don't come here at once, I will shatter you, Spinel. The other gems gasped, and then became infuriated as they ran into the beach. Taking out their weapons, and even the head of Jasper's helmet was now a shape of a pointed star. Blue Diamond's aurora sped, causing the gems to fall on their knees, tears spilling down from their faces. Jasper? The blue gem monarch scowled. What are you doing here? She snarled. The orange gem looked up, glowing with their tears. I'm fighting them, of course. But you're homeworld's most loyal soldiers. How could you turn back on us? Someone taught me I don't need to follow orders or obey anyone. I'm no longer one of the gems that you all are. I have real friends now, and I plan to fight them for the true honor. Spinel smiled weakly at from her words, along with the other gems and Steven, but Blue Diamond had lost it as she knew Lapis as well. Does every gem that comes to connect with us in this planet turns traitor? She then watched something else. What? Lapis then wiped a small tear away. I felt worse, and then her powers summoned a giant water chains that caught the diamond's wrists, releasing Spinel from her grasp, and she ran over to her fellow teammates. Are you alright? Pearl asked, with Jasper and Peridot giving her the same concerned look. Spinel nodded and panted. I am. We just gotta take her down. The gems all nodded and stood up, with Lapis calling out, Knock her out of this beach! Everyone, Garnet shouted, summoning her spiked gauntlets. Untie, if we're here to protect what we love, we need to take what that is down. Spinel stood up, as all the gems held their weapons to shield themselves. She's right. We are not fighting just for Pink Diamond, but for Steven. The humans are living here. The planet we have come to love and for each other. We are the Crystal Gems. All the gems screamed in illusion. Steven fearfully hid behind the railing, watching the Blue Diamond free herself from the water chains. You pathetic. You're nothing. She fired the energy blasts at the gems, promptly to the boy to create a giant shield over the gems, defending them from Blue Diamond's powers. He dissipated, and as the gems gave him a grateful look before they all ganged up on Blue Diamond. The Blue Monarch tried her best to defend them off, but there was just too many gems hitting her head all at once. She struggled to fight a single target. Supposedly a grand finale, Lapis used her hydronosis to lift the gems into the air and hurled over them a diamond. She blocked herself from Pearl, Bismuth, Garnet, and Peridot's attacks, but Jasper broke the guard, and Spinel ran over with the lion, delivered a harsh blow, knocking the Blue Diamond down. With the cluster, it reached Yellow Diamond's ship tightly, and it broke. Spinel noticed this and looked over the shoulders. Guys, heads up! The mutated hand then slammed onto Yellow Diamond's ship into Blue's, the diamond giving a final shriek before her own ship was crashed into pieces, flown around until it crashed into the beach house. The house! Spinel cried. I could fix it, Bismuth told her, as Jasper nodded in agreement. Spinel held Steven's arms, and she screamed, "My dad!" Miraculously, Greg came out of the front door unscattered, carrying Clementine in his arms. "All right, I'm sticking with you guys." They both, the pink gem and the boy, sighed in relief. C.A. Greg was right. The cluster had hovered over them, glitching a bit. "Cluster, you were amazing," Steven shouted to the muse station. "Are you okay? Do you want to go back in your bubble?" The cluster gave him a thumbs up and then unfused and went back to Earth. Steven adding, "Okay, take it easy. You're the best." So Garnet walked up to them. "That was a wedding reception. Nice job, wedding planner." Spinel laughed. "I've been wanting to do this for centuries." "What?" Pearl stood beside her, smiling amusingly. "To punch a diamond?" All four of the gems all laughed at the joke. Lapis flew down to Bismuth, Jasper, and Peridot. "Pretty good hit, Jasper." "Pretty good," the orange gem howled with laughter. "I was awesome." She then high-fived the other gems, feeling pumped and excited. "Ha, well, did you see how I was able to distract Blue Diamond?" Peridot grinned. "I know I could do it." Amethyst playfully punched her shoulder. "You're awesome, Perry." "I dig up your spirit," added in it Bismuth. "You don't quit." However, the celebration didn't last as the thumping was heard from the yellow ship, and the tall figures burst out of the hull of the ship, glaring and glowing down at the horrified gems. Yellow Diamond, she hopped down out of the beach, and lifting the blue one to help Blue Diamond up. Peridot sneered. "I told her off for once. I could do it again." Jasper panicked and grabbed Peridot, preventing her from running up to her friend Diamond. "Jasper," the orange gem looked up at the yellow monarch. "What are you doing with them?" She then shook her fear. "Just fighting them off. That's what." Blue Diamond glanced over at her friend, fellow Diamond. "She's with them. Jasper betrayed us." She started boiling with rage. The yellow Diamond looked around for something, and still found them, still in Spinel's arms. She locked on her target and charged towards them. The other gems were knocked away by sun and wind, as Yellow Diamond glared down at Spinel and Steven. "Give Pink back," she roared. "Never!" Spinel now held Steven behind her, glaring up at Diamond with no fear. Infuriated, Yellow Diamond held out her hand and tried to establish the powers into Spinel. Spinel screamed in pain as yellow lines covered her body until she was poofed. Her gemstone landed on the ground. Steven cried out in horror, but was silenced by Yellow Diamond, grabbing him tightly and holding him close to her face. Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst, Peridot, Lapis, Bismuth, and Jasper all gasped in shock. As they rushed towards Diamond, but Yellow Diamond saw them and fired her powers at them. They all were shouted and established and poofed, retreating into gemstones. "No!" Steven screamed in fear as Blue Diamond picked up each of the gemstones, increasing them into a blue pale bubble. "There," she spoke, satisfied. "Now they won't take Pink from us." Yellow Diamond nodded. "Let's go back to Homeworld and figure out what to do with them." Steven, gritting his teeth and tears flowing down his cheeks, cried out in fury, but he tried to use powers by bonding powers to talk to Spinel and the other gems, but instead he appeared in the yellow and blue world, along with Yellow and Pink Diamond. Blue Diamond in the void as well. "What?" Blue Diamond asked. Yellow Diamond looked around. "What's going on here?" They both turned to Steven, who had his eyes closed, wet with tears, as a pink aurora surrounded him. When he opened his eyes, they were pale pink as he spoke. Stop this at once. They are my family. Please understand, this is not their fault. It's no one's fault. You don't need to hurt them, so stop it." He fired his aurora at the monarchs, leaving them in thunder shock. "Pink?" Blue Diamond whispered. "Incredible," Yellow Diamond gasped. Holding out their hands, Steven landed in their palms as they went back to the real world. "Pink, Blue Diamond spoke quietly, regret in her tone. We're so sorry."